Let's do the wheels real quick.
Alright, what's up guys? We're out here in Chaparral, New Mexico with Ray from Luna Performance. He's gonna tell us a little bit on this unique car right here. Go ahead, Ray.
What's up, guys? Well, this is the Ugly Laser. Story on this car. I originally did not want it. I was living in Santa Fe and I was looking for an engine for a dune buggy. So the plan was just to get the driveline out of this thing. It was a front wheel drive car. It had been wrecked on the side, and I had taken it out for a spin, and it pulled like hell. It was a pretty damn fast car. I had come from V8s, so I really didn't care for these imports, but I always liked the turbos, and I just wanted to get into something that could, just throw in the back of a dune buggy. I had the idea of, since it's front wheel drive, the engine and the tranny in the back and driving the wheels. So it was pretty quick. So we started taking it to the illegals in Albuquerque down at the street races. And at the time, this was probably around the year 2000. The 5.0s were big. So I was out there running against 5.0s naturally aspirated and nitrous 5.0s, and there wasn't that many turbos back in that day. But this thing was doing really well on the streets up there. And my dad would come up from cruises to visit, and I'd take him to the illegals, and he was like, holy shit, this thing did all right. So we'd start taking it to the track. It did all right. Back in its day, it did like 13s on the stock turbo and front wheel drive. And it did all right, and just later on I started progressing, making it faster. I'd come down to visit my parents at the illegals in Cruces. And I'd visit my parents and we'd go to the illegals on Friday nights, me and some buddies and my brother sometimes. And there was a lot of nice cars, some beautiful. It was the heyday of the imports. There was, hot FCs with big turbos. There was a lot of the LS1s were just coming in. And I remember the first night I showed up out there, they had already been running for about an hour. And I showed up and, just all, hey, who's the fastest guy out here? So ended up outrunning them. And there was an LS1 Camaro with nitrous, and I think the other top dog was an FC RX-7, gorgeous. I think he had a T66 on it, and I ended up outrunning them. They would all get me off the line, but I had the top end to pull them. And this car got kind of famous for that. It just had a ton of top end. After a while, the cops would start busting us in cruises. It was the time of just after the big street races in LA, which I had been out there for also. And it was big everywhere. This is the early 2000, 2002. Then I started coming to El Paso to the illegals. My friends would, we'd party in cruises, and my friends, it'd get boring after a while. We'd go to the different clubs, hang out at my buddy's house. And it just got boring. So I'd head out to El Paso, and I ran across a Hyundai Tiburon, and he gave me a hell of a race. We were racing down, I think it was Motwood, and damn good race. And we pulled over, and we just happened to be by his house. I pulled over. I was like, hey, what the hell? What's up with this thing? And he says, oh man, he goes, holy shit, that was fun. I was like, yeah. He goes, what makes it so fast? Oh, I've been running methanol. So I said, methanol? And he showed me how he did it. I said, who did this? And at the time, there was a Hyundai dealership in El Paso called McIntyre Hyundai. And the owner was a badass inventor. And I don't know if you guys remember the Ultimate Street Car Challenge when it first came out. There was a twin engine Tiburon. The guy had an engine in the front and an engine in the back. Each engine made like 400 horsepower. And the car ran 10s, and he ended up winning the Ultimate Street Car Challenge. I think this was back in 2002. Well, anyway, he was the owner of the Hyundai dealer, and he set up a speed shop out of his the shop there at Hyundai, and they would build a couple of these cars, and they came with warranties. So that was one of those cars, and he had a top mechanic named Jason, real cool guy. And anyway, so they set up a draw-through meth system where the meth would inject from the washer nozzle into the turbo and then route through the intercooler system and go into the engine. So later on, after that, I copied him, and I started putting meth on this car. And then about a week or two later, I went to the illegals in El Paso, and there was this gorgeous yellow Type R. It had a full race manifold. It had just been tuned by one of the local shops in El Paso. I forget what power it made. I think it was like 550 or something. Guy named Oops. He's always had real nice Integras. And crowd around his car, beautiful, you know, gorgeous Type R, yellow wing, best of everything. He popped the hood and the engine was just gorgeous. And I came out here in this piece of junk with a dent on the side and hubcaps, and I beat him. It was, you know, everybody just kind of looked at me funny because I was out there by myself, you know, not even from El Paso. I didn't know anybody. And after that, we all cruised to Whataburger, and everybody's like, holy shit, what the hell is that thing? And we all became friends after that. And, you know, I'd show up at the illegals in El Paso, and little by little, I started bringing cruises to El Paso. El Paso started coming to cruises. And it turned out real nice. There was very few of us that could work on the Mitsus because the engines are so complicated. At that time, there were really good Honda shops, but none of them really worked with complicated harnesses. And since I came from Mercedes-Benz, I did well with wires. So I was pretty much the only guy at the time that would do the more complicated cars. And so now this thing's progressed. I did really well in front wheel drive, but I just kept breaking transmissions, breaking axles. So what we're looking at here is a 2.3 stroker, poured and polished head, 272 cams, custom made manifold. It's one of our creations. One of my top fabricators, David Cerisa, built this. Typically manifolds have 1.5-inch runners. I'm a big flow guy, so these are 2-inch runners. The only guys that usually run manifolds with runners this size are RX-7 guys. So it's an outstanding flowing manifold. There's less than 90 degrees angle so that the air velocity stays high. A lot of guys are into equal pressure. I'm high velocity. I'd rather have high velocity than equal flow, than equal length. So we kept it twin scroll. This is kind of our experiment. Most of the time, these guys tie these runners and these runners, and I decided to do this, and it spools tremendously. It's a Borg-Warner S364 extended tip from Full Race. It's an awesome turbo. Divided T4, I think it's a 1.1 AR exhaust housing. The transmission's with Shep Stage 3. All the above good stuff. It's the best transmission you can get without going to a dog box. One of my signature things is I've always run a water-to-air intercooler. I was one of the first guys on the street, probably in the country, that was running it back in 2001, I think was the first time I did it. So I got a intercooler core off a Super Twin Turbo from a friend of mine, and this is actually one off a Super Twin Turbo right here. This is just by coincidence. What we did is we took the intakes off, welded end caps on it, welded caps on the front and the back, and we had a water-to-air intercooler, which is what is if you look in here, you might be able to see it. But we tucked it down in the fender, so you can't even see it. An intercooler that size is good for over 1,000 horsepower. Damn. So we were doing this back then. So when other guys were overheating with their intercoolers, we were nice and cool. The heat exchanger, this is back before you could buy this stuff. Heat exchanger came from a junkyard. It's just a transmission cooler off a big old truck. And we just clamped hoses onto it. And that's what allows me to ride on the street with it. Short route piping, so the intercooler pipes come straight out the turbo, through the intercooler, straight back up, 3-inch, and then it goes down to 2-inch. You know, we're on a budget, so I'm still running a stock intake manifold, stock intake. It gets the job done for now. I used to have direct port nitrous, but I wanted to put AC back in the car, and the foggers wouldn't fit with the compressor, so right now we have the nitrous disconnected. Still has cruise control, still has air conditioning. Let me show you the inside if you come around. This is one of the old school things. So cloth interior, no roll cage, minimal stuff. I think that's my boost controller, low and high boost. I think that's my water pump, and I have hidden switches. Like right here used to be my meth kit. Right here was a sprayer. so that whenever I wanted to purge my meth, everything was hidden so where no one could see it. I had hidden LEDs into my dash so that only I could see them. Look at the old school Blitz gauges. Those are the BLMs. I don't think they've sold them since 2003. They're real cool. It's a black. Let me see if they light up right now. Yeah, in case you haven't seen them, try to get the. Well, they're black light. It's not real common. And although the car did real well, I got tired of losing to people that I shouldn't be losing to. So I would get really shitty launches and then catch up at the top. You know, it was just like a super. But I just got tired of it. So we did something kind of exotic with it. And to my knowledge, this is one of the only ones in the country that someone's gone through this trouble. And we converted it to all-wheel drive. By the way, the wheels that are on it right now are off one of those European Evo FQ 400s. Remember that video where the Evos ran against the Lamborghinis and beat it? This is those wheels. I don't particularly like them, but we'll probably go back to the old chromies again. Pardon the spider webs, this car's been sitting for a little while. Well, anyway, we did a full conversion to all-wheel drive. I hope the Black Widows don't buy me. The whole new cradle, you can see right here where we had to weld in plates to where they would fit and mount them. You can probably come back around here.